Joining me today from LA is acting coach, actor, and director Michelle Danner. We'll be diving into some of her projects to talk filmmaking and, of course, some advice on acting.
Two unemployed actors, two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Welcome, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Very well, thank you.
Good, good. I've been looking forward to talking to you for a little while now because you've just achieved so much in terms of producing and directing films, but also with an established acting school and yourself as an actor. There's so many questions. Can we start with the Italians? Because my father's Italian and I found watching that very triggering for me with all those cultural moments. What was interesting for me is that you directed the project and you're also starring in it alongside Abigail Breslin, who I love as well. How do you find navigating, directing and acting in a project?
Well, that particular project was something that I really wanted to do because it was a love letter to my mother and to my heritage, my Italian family. So I was prepared, and I have a great team. I have a wonderful creative team around me. And so I have producers that have worked with me for decades. My son, who just graduated from, college a year ago, not just, and loves film. He studied film and theater. And so he's right by my side helping. And, I had a great director of photography, production designer, first AD, everybody that I had worked with before, costume designer. And so I found it joyful. It was a joyful experience. As a matter of fact, there was one moment when I have been rehearsing with my cast, and I said to them, I couldn't have picked a better group of actors to choose to do this with, because everybody was just so generous. And so Matthew Daddario played my son, and Abigail Breslin, who I had worked with before in a movie I did called Miranda's Victim, played my son's girlfriend. Rob Estes, who I have worked with numerous times throughout the last decades, starting with years ago, we did a theater production here in Los Angeles of Tennessee Williams' The Rose Tattoo that ran for almost a year to sold out audiences and won a lot of awards. And since then, we've made movies and other, theater events together. Two other new actors that I hadn't worked with before, like David DeLuise, like Perry Reeves, Olivia Lucardi, the incomparable Leni Kazan. So I had this cast that was this incredible cast that came to play and have fun. And, I didn't find it at all difficult or challenging. I know that's crazy because, but we had, it was fairly contained. We were in a few locations, although we did do a church, and I don't know if I can ever go back to that church ever again, not even to pray. We told them we were a small indie movie and all these trailers. It so happened that everybody in the cast was shooting that wedding scene and the scenes in the church. So we had like a lot of trailers and a lot of, trucks, and the priests were, going, oh my God, what is this? If you're not used to it. It was right after COVID, we were able to get this church that nobody could ever get before COVID. But I think after COVID, people were more, yeah, come shoot here. And little they know what they were getting themselves into.
I think it really shows when a cast and crew gel together so well and so easily. It translates to film, and in that sort of genre, it's just fantastic to see. And I guess things like the problems with, trying to get access to that church, for example, I imagine, when you're helming a project like that and you're wearing many hats as you do, Michelle, you're constantly having to make 1,000 decisions a day, and there are lots of problems in it. How do you find, you're leaning on those you trust a lot to help?
I'm on top of everything, and I want to know everything. Now, I know my sisters work with me and they help me, and they shield me from certain things. But ultimately, if I hear them talking and whispering in the background, I always find out what's going on. And I'm the kind of person that really needs to know. You can't keep me in the dark. I'm also a good problem solver. So come tell me what the problem is and I'll work it out.
You're leading quite a big team. So and it worked out well, but it's not the first project you developed. You directed. You touched on Miranda's Victim, a fantastic film. I mean, just looking at the cast: Abigail Breslin, Luke Wilson, Ryan Phillipe, Donald Sutherland, and Andy Garcia. I mean, quite a cast you assembled. Did you always think you were going to get a cast like that?
Well, I thought it was an important story, a story that had never been told about how the Miranda rights had come about. And the characters were historical characters. This is a case, a legal case that happened and really informed how people were getting arrested from then on. And so I thought that, because it defined our history, I thought it was important to have well-known people be in it. And there were also, there was a big cast. It was a movie that we shot on film in 2000. I think it was released a couple of years ago in 2023. I shot it in 2022, right still, when people were doing precautions with COVID, with the masks and everything. As a matter of fact, because it was a period piece and we were shooting in this authentic police station and this authentic courthouse of the 60s, which they tore down after we finished shooting there. So we had very authentic locations. I was wearing this clear mask because, the COVID, protocol, especially because I wanted, everybody to see my mouth when I was speaking. And because people were smoking cigarettes, not, real cigarettes, but prop cigarettes. And then there was the smoke machine. All that smoke got underneath the mask and created, huge infection. I got really sick and I went to urgent care at lunch. The doctor was like, you have to check yourself into the hospital. It's going to penetrate bloodstream. And I'm like, nothing happens. We shut down. I can't afford that. So anyway, she called me on set 2 hours later. Are you going to the hospital? And I'm like, yes, I'm going after I finished shooting. So I went and, they were like talking about surgery and stuff like that. But then it worked out. They just gave me steroids, which made me wonderfully aggressive the day after.
I'm sure the cast thanked you for that and the crew.
Well, my director of photography was like, my God, what's happening? I was very
keep
loud.
You away from the
very,
steroids for the rest of the shoot.
very loud and very fast. And so that was a great experience that I had. It was a bigger budget movie and people, received it very well. Right after that, I shot The Italians. After that, I went to Italy and shot a movie called Under the Stars, a romantic comedy with Andy Garcia, with Toni Collette, with Alex Pettifer, with Eva Di Domenici. That movie's going to come out, I believe, in the next month. And then after that, I'm currently shooting a movie as we speak. I am not shooting today, obviously, because I'm talking to you. But I am shooting another romantic comedy, which I love the genre because it's light and fun. And I think we need to watch some of these movies to just escape. And it's called Starstruck, and it's a romantic comedy with a unique angle on astrology, and I have some wonderful actors in it. Matthew Daddario, who played my son in The Italians, is in it. The actress called Alice Eve, wonderful actress. They have great chemistry together. And I believe we're going to have now, as we go back to shoot, Billy Zane and Lauren Tom. And so I'm very excited about it.
That's fantastic. I mean, it sounds like you're just going from one project to the next and working with amazing casts.
Amazing. And I have to tell you, so Josh Bowman, who played Abigail Breslin's husband in Miranda's Victim, who was extraordinary, also has come to be in this movie that I'm shooting right now, Starstruck. And Rob Estes, who played my husband in The Italians and is also in Under the Stars, also has a part in this movie. So I like working, all this to say that I do like working with the same actors over and over again and with new actors. But what's great about working with the actors that you know well and that you love is that you've developed a shorthand of how to communicate. And so it's helpful, especially because at some point during the course of the day, when you shoot a movie, you get in trouble. There is one point there where everybody gets slow. It happens in different parts of the day. It could happen after lunch. It could happen before lunch. But at some point, everybody moves like molasses and nothing gets done. And so, it helps that you have this relationship with people that you've worked with before so you can, kick it back into gear.
Do you find that's a really interesting point, I think, because you've also got a mix of emerging talent as much as a very talented professional and experienced actors. Do you find yourself even with your breadth of experience, still learning new things when you direct professional actors of such caliber as, Toni Collette and Andy Garcia?
Well, Toni Collette, I just had a front seat, and Andy Garcia as well, to how brilliant they were, and just watching them. And I knew I was getting gold when I was doing it, when I was shooting. And then afterwards, when I started to watch the takes and, watch the dailies, it confirmed it's in the little subtleties. It's always in those little details. And you go, look how incredible this is. But I love acting. I love actors. I love working with actors and telling stories because, of course, storytelling is at the core of everything that we do.
I mean, you've been directing and, well, certainly coaching actors for, well, over 30 years. And no doubt you've learned a few things in that time as well. Has your perception changed in how you sort of approach, coaching actors from when you first started as an acting coach to now having, directed them on set?
Well, I'm sure that I have. I've always worked in a very intuitive way, and I've always had a vast knowledge of acting method, different philosophies. I studied with Stella Adler, I studied with Uta Hagen, I studied with countless teachers, and I was always fascinated about technique, acting technique, what creates a great acting, a great actor, a great acting moment. And so I've always analyzed that in depth. And so, certainly when you work with, Toni Collette and Andy and you watch, their takes and you watch them try things and also, but people, actors want feedback. They don't just want to know that they're brilliant, even if they are brilliant. They want to know, what can I do that is different? I definitely know what I want when it comes to that. And I feel like I have found a balance throughout the years, more so as I've, grown older and have worked more, of letting them have free rein, which means that they're allowed to try things, fall on their face, risk, and guide them through a performance, something that, I feel illuminates the story, the writing.
I love the idea of giving them some free rein. It really underlines the trust you have with the actors to allow them to explore a little bit and perhaps even surprise you with some moments that you hadn't have imagined and hadn't pictured.
Absolutely. There's always that surprise, and you learn all the time, every single day.
I think two of my favorite actors, Toni Collette and Andy Garcia, I mean, just amazing. The sort of actors where I will watch them, whatever they're in, I'll just watch. I don't even need to know what it's about, So I think, and Under the Stars being set in Italy, I just think that's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that. How was it feel? Because is that your first time filming, directing a movie in Italy?
Yes, it was. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. Because, I worked on the script quite a lot. I wanted to shoot in Italy. My mother was born in Italy. She was Italian. She was born in Milano. And my whole childhood, God, I heard Puglia, Puglia is so beautiful, Puglia, Puglia. And I had never been to Puglia. So when they offered me this movie to direct, I was like, shooting in Puglia. I'm like, I'm there. I didn't care what it was. I was just there. And I had a great time shooting it. It was wonderful to be in Italy. During my days off, I went to the supermarket. I bought food. I cooked it. Went exploring, went swimming in the ocean. It was definitely a treat.
I can't believe that. So that was your first time going to Puglia to direct?
To direct, yes. I had not directed in Europe. I did something in Istanbul once.
Okay.
But I have a dream to go to Paris to direct something. And, there's different parts of the world that are so beautiful that I would love to go to.
I think that's amazing that's your heritage, and it's also, that was your first visit to the region.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Were there any sort of surprises, comparing to your experience directing in the States?
Well, yes, I was concerned at first because, in the States you shoot 12 hours and in Europe you shoot 10 hours. And I thought to myself, wow, how is that going to happen? But it was fantastic. You're less tired. You still can get it done. I mean, they're onto something, I think.
Got to have time for a siesta in Puglia, to explore the food in the region.
Exactly.
So if we could just touch a bit on the producing side, especially for these larger films where you've got such a great accomplished cast, Do you find yourself going to a casting director early on in the project to help unlock more funding, or is that just like, I know you work with Nancy Bishop, who amazing casting director, over 100 movies on her resume, and they're all amazing.
I was just going to say that, yes, I work closely with Nancy, but she's in the UK, I'm in LA, or sometimes in New York, and she wakes up early. So I start texting with her at midnight, and I wake up and I've tried to, and I don't always do it. I try to not do it because it really chops up my sleep. But so many nights I wake up and I go to the bathroom and I check my phone, and this actor passed, this actor said yes, this actor passed. So there's a lot of that. And so my heart sinks or I'm joyful. Either way, I can't go back to sleep. So I stopped doing that because I said, you just got to sleep. But I love Nancy and I love working with her, and we're working on another project right now together.
Right. I think is it so? Do you find yourself going to her early on in a project, saying, this is the genre, this is the scope, this is the log line, and here's who I see in it, and starting to hunt for the leads then, or is it once you've got a bit of a way into the project and a polished script, and then you can start?
Yeah, I mean, you need a polished script. You need the script.
Okay.
Without the script, even if you have the relationships, I mean, people would have to really love you to sign on for something that's just not up to par. The script has to be there. And therefore, and you have to put the time, you have to put the work in so that you really feel good about it, whatever the process is with that script, whether it's doing draft after draft or even getting a group of actors together and hearing it out loud to see how it reads. Whatever the process is to get it to the place where people can't say no to you because it's that good.
Before we go into a bit more around the acting coaching world, is it true that your father used to have, famous artists over to the house when you were growing up? Is that sort of what influenced you?
Yes, my father was a very well-known producer. As a matter of fact, the William Morris Agency asked him to be the president of the William Morris in Paris, in France, in the 60s. And he represented a lot of, big stars. And I remember I was daddy's little girl. I would go to, play in his office under his desk, and was privy to so many international stars, American stars come and talk about their careers. And they would come to the house, and it was a colorful group of artists. They would play the piano, sing songs, go into the kitchen, pull out everything they could find and make a big, big paella. I remember, I traveled a lot as a child. My dad brought me with him a lot of the time. And I was just really close to my parents. And my mother was singing as well, and she was an entertainer. So that's the family that I grew up in. It was very rich with the arts. And I studied at a young age acting in Paris. I always went to museums. It seemed like every Sunday we had guests, and we took them to the Palais de Versailles. I had a, wonderful childhood that was very rich in terms of the arts.
It feels like you were just destined to be working in the industry, really, with that upbringing.
Well, I really think that I have signed on, and I'm passionate about telling stories that I feel, people really need to see.
And did you always imagine yourself, directing a movie and bringing stories to life in that way, or were you, look, I want to perform, I want to be an actor? What sort of led you into the industry?
I think everything was a stepping stone. I didn't particularly see myself directing. I just fell into it organically. I didn't see myself teaching either. I mean, I think I was first attracted to acting, and then but again, the storytelling aspect of this is really what drove me, whether I was acting or directing or producing or teaching. Whatever it is that I do, it's because storytelling is something that I enormously respect and have a passion for.
The acting school that you established in Los Angeles is the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory.
Yes, there's two schools that we have in Culver City that I'm very proud of because it brings together a community of actors that want to grow and learn. And so the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory is our conservatory program, and the Michelle Danner Acting Studio are when people just want to take just a chunk of classes, but they don't want to do the whole program. We have 1 and 2 year programs. And if you drive, I had a mural artist, create something in the entrance, above, which is if you're driving from west to east, it says you can't spell art without heart. You can't spell heart without art. Oh my God. You can't make art without heart on the other side of it. So, and this I think really embodies the philosophy of our school. When I make movies, which, like I said, I'm in the process of doing now, all the students come on set. So whether they get cast in front of the camera, behind the camera, they learn. And that's one of the things that I wish when I was in my 20s that I had done more of, is had the opportunity to go on set and understand how it really works.
That is a fantastic point. And I think, as an emerging actor, that is such a fantastic opportunity to be able to have that real experience. I mean, you can workshop to death. You can practice your monologues. You can do all the courses, but to actually be on set and watch it all come together, I think that's a masterclass right there.
Yeah, and there's nothing that is as good as that. I even told my son, yeah, you went to USC and that was great, but being on set, you got a front seat to what it's really like to make a movie.
I love that, and I think that's a great layer for. It's not just you're not just an acting coach, acting teacher with an acting school. It's you're actually busy working in the industry that you're teaching in. I think that's great credibility and really shows how much you're willing to help emerging actors learn and get experience. That's fantastic. From an acting coach perspective too, I mean, you've worked with the likes of Christian Slater and Salma Hayek, Gerard, Butler. I mean, it's such a Chris Rock. I mean, it's such an amazing roll call of professional actors. I'm still coming to terms with the fact that you're so busy bringing projects to life as a director and producer, but also with the two acting schools and then your acting coaching as well. How do you manage wearing so many hats?
Everybody always asks me that. I always say that I have help, first of all, but I make very good lists. I'm very organized in terms of what I need to achieve. And that's how I get it done.
It almost looks daunting to the uninitiated, but I think that's fantastic. I mean, to be busy in this industry is just, kudos straight up. But I think how do you can actors, professional actors of A-listers, when they come to you to work through a particular role, they come to you with, I mentioned, the script and they put some work in. How do you approach helping them? I guess each situation might be a bit unique, or do you have the same approach for everyone?
Oh, no, you have to be very intuitive with people, and it's not, come to the middle and it's all the same what I'm going to teach you. You have to really customize, and really work with the uniqueness of each artist. I mean, I love the acting school. Every time I go there, every time I teach a class, and I'm about to teach a couple of Masterclasses coming up, the Golden Box, which lays out all the tools that you use when you book a part in a movie or a TV show, create a character, and make choices. I mean, I love teaching. The truth is that I love teaching. I used to teach before a lot more. I used to teach, 4 nights a week. I used to teach nonstop. And then I had kids, and then I started to direct, and I never stopped teaching, and I don't think that I ever will. But, I have a great faculty of teachers, which is the reason why I can go and shoot a movie, because of this faculty that I have. But I really enjoy it. It's something that you feel a responsibility to. You want to pass it down to the next generation. It's a mandate, and I'm always happy to do it. I was just in Australia not too long ago. I was teaching in Brisbane,
Oh,
which
lovely. Yeah, great part of the
I
world.
loved it. I had a great class of Australian actors. And where am I going next? I think I have to look at the schedule. But when I go to Paris, I teach in French. When I go to South America, to Mexico, to Central America, I teach in Spanish. When I go to Italy, I teach in Italian. So I speak 5 languages.
Wow.
Yeah. And if I've been to Russia, I taught in Moscow. I had an interpreter there. And that was fun too. I don't know if I'll be going anytime soon, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was an experience all in itself.
And I guess taking a step back and just looking at the industry at the moment, I know certainly in Australia, look, much smaller industry. And for actors, sometimes you have to go to LA, New York, or London to be able to work consistently. But what I'm hearing is, the old system in the United States of, a huge pilot season, it's kind of changed. It's almost gone. And the growing segment at the moment is verticals. Is that something you're seeing, or are you just focused on film directing, so you're not really exposed to that?
No, I mean, verticals are a trend. I haven't directed that. I direct movies, I direct feature films of all budgets, from bigger budgets to smaller budgets. And I love the intimacy of a little indie movie. I'm prepping to shoot something next year, which will be a 6 episode, season one of something we're developing. But and Los Angeles is a very vibrant city. I mean, yes, shooting has, slowed down, but it's picking up.
Okay.
And so I have a couple of projects I'm going to shoot in California. I love Los Angeles. I love Hollywood. Some of it's the weather, of course. Some of it is the fact that you feel like anything is possible. There's just that kind of an energy here. And I also love New York. I'm working on also another project, Broadway show. I love stretching myself throughout the different, mediums and genres. I don't particularly have favorite genre. Those are probably some things that I'll never, direct, like a Western. But who knows? You never know. I like to be challenged. I like to try new things. I like to tell stories that have never been told before. That's what really attracts me to storytelling.
I love that, and I get the impression, you don't like to get bored. You've got to constantly be busy and pushing yourself in different areas to keep interested and focused, and that's fantastic. The other thing I'd like to mention, and if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. Artificial intelligence is such like, for me, I feel like maybe you can be a bit conflicted on it, because from one perspective, as a producer, perhaps you can see, and driving projects forward and leading projects as you do, perhaps you can see a place for AI to assist in some elements of pre or post production in order to reduce costs or ensure more money gets to the screen. But then on the other hand, you have, like this week, Tilly Norwood, an AI actress, with Emily Blunt saying it's really, really scary, and an AI talent company seeking representation for Tilly, saying they wanted to be the next Natalie Portman or Scarlett Johansson, which does make it really, really scary for me. So that's the conflict I see with AI in the industry at the moment. I'm really interested in your thoughts because of your breadth of experience.
I don't know why it doesn't scare me. I think that, for instance, when it comes to AI, I always know if somebody presents me a script that they used AI. I'm not saying that it couldn't be a good tool to help you to develop something,
Yeah.
but ultimately, I always can tell if somebody used AI to write something. It feels robotic to me. It feels devoid of humanity. And I think that I haven't seen this actress, this AI actress, but I think that ultimately people knowing that it is AI and it's not real, it's not a real person. I think it's not human, and therefore it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a new thing, I just don't see how
More of a novelty,
AI
perhaps, at the moment.
novelty,
Yeah.
that's the word I was looking for. I don't see how AI actors are going to replace
Yeah.
the real thing, the real thing.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I think there'll be a lot of, speculation about it, a lot of worry about it, a lot of anger about it. There'll be projects. They're doing it now. People are using, AI actors and creating, and it's looking polished, but polished and robotic,
Mm.
not polished and human. And for me, I mean, I'm sorry, even when I go to see a movie, and I see a lot of visual effects and a lot of special effects, that can only grab me for so long. I want to be moved by something. If I go to see Phantom of the Opera, all is good, with the chandelier falling, but if I am not moved when he takes off the mask, then it doesn't work. And I cannot see how an AI project is really going to do that for audiences. I think that, it's part of this technology that's making people disconnected
Yeah.
and and cold and not, but I don't see, nothing is going to replace a human actor. But yes, it is scary that people, feel that they can make money doing it and there'll always be an audience to watch it.
Yeah, I think whenever there's change in this industry, there's some that get a bit nervous about change. I mean, we'll look at when streaming became a thing. There were directors, very famous directors, going, movies made for streaming shouldn't even be up for Oscars. People just didn't want to move. But so I can understand how some people, when they see technology, or see a change coming in the industry, can get very nervous. It's fair to say that there's an increase in AI technology being deployed. There's a smaller pilot season, a growing trend of verticals. That kind of feels like the state at the moment. I know you're living in a world where you're very successful at directing film. What would your advice be to your acting students who are about to graduate now and head out into the industry? And would that advice have changed from what you would have given them, 20 years ago?
No, I think it's the same advice. I think never stop growing as an artist. Never stop learning because you're never going to stop learning. And be proactive. Not everybody can, write or direct or produce. Some people are good at connecting people together, creating, a community. But everything would lead you down the road of taking action and being proactive. I think that for an artist to sit home, for an actor to wait, it's that old cliche that says, you can't wait for the phone to ring. I remember coaching some big stars that told me that the phone does not ring for them. Now, recently we lost an icon, Robert Redford. And I remember reading a whole article that when he was trying to get Ordinary People made, he was having a hard time raising the financing for that movie. And I thought to myself, my God, I mean, I had to reread it like several times. I said, really? Robert Redford was having a hard time raising money for a movie he wanted to make? But yeah, that's the fact. It's hard, and I know a lot of very known actors, stars, that are having a hard time, getting it off the ground. So that being said, I think that this idea of not sitting and waiting for somebody to pick you, but to pick yourself. And at the end of the day, Robert Redford did get Ordinary People made, and he created Sundance, and he did many, many more things. You have to get off your butt and you have to take action and not wait for somebody else to say yes to you. You have to say yes to yourself and always be that wonder child, looking to, discover things.
I think that's fantastic. I couldn't agree more that, you need to stay motivated and stay busy. And you have to get out there and make things happen. Even if it is taking a lead in a student film, to stay work fit and getting more experience in front of the camera.
I was going to say one last thing. The director of Nora, he directed Tangerine, and he did that with his phone and some lenses, and it was nominated in the Oscars. Anybody can make something happen. You just have to have the will, the passion to want to do it.
I love that. That's a beautiful note to end on. Michelle, thank you so much for giving us your time. We've covered so many topics. And I just think, congratulations on the success over the years and for many more of your projects and your class, and for giving us some insights today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Two unemployed actors.